Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. Welcome to day 1106. Republicans, who have for months insisted on changes to border and migration policy as a condition of approving any additional aid to Ukraine, declared that the bipartisan Senate-proposed border deal would be dead on arrival in the House. The deal, which represents the Republicans' best chance in decades to make substantial changes to immigration and border security, would require the United States to close the border if roughly 5,000 migrants cross illegally on any given day. It would also speed up the asylum process. Speaker Mike Johnson, who still has not seen the legislative text, said House Republicans won't accept any proposal that allows even one illegal crossing, calling it surrender and saying that the number must be zero. When asked whether the House Republican opposition to the legislation is due to Trump's campaign against it, Johnson responded, "That's absurd." Immigration has been Trump's defining issue of his campaign, dating back to his first presidential campaign news conference on June 16, 2015, when he accused Mexico of sending rapists to the United States. Moving on, the Illinois State Board of Elections voted unanimously to dismiss an effort seeking to disqualify Trump from that state's primary ballot, saying it didn't have the authority to decide whether Trump had engaged in insurrection. The board's unanimous ruling comes after its hearing officer found that a preponderance of the evidence shows Trump engaged in insurrection and is ineligible to run for president. The hearing officer, however, said the election code is simply not suited for issues involving constitutional analysis and recommended that the board let the courts make the decision. While the decision is expected to be appealed in state courts, the issue will likely be decided by the United States Supreme Court, which hears arguments on whether Trump's role in the January 6th insurrection disqualifies him from the presidency. Meanwhile, a federal appeals court rejected a request to review a ruling that threatens to make it harder to enforce the Voting Rights Act's protections against racial discrimination in the election process. The full 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals found that federal law does not allow private groups or individuals to pursue cases enforcing Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act because the law does not explicitly name them. Only the U.S. Attorney General can file lawsuits to enforce the Voting Rights Act protections against racial discrimination. The vast majority of Voting Rights Act lawsuits for decades, however, have been filed by private parties, not the Justice Department. The ruling is expected to be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. And finally, Trump called the president of the United Auto Workers a dope and called for him to be removed after the union endorsed Joe Biden. Trump accused the union's leader, Shawn Fain, of selling the automobile industry right into the big, powerful hands of China. Fain, however, said Biden had earned the endorsement, saying Biden had a history of serving others and serving the working class, while Trump had a history of serving himself and standing for the billionaire class. Meanwhile, Biden, who joined the picket line with UAW members during their 6-week strike against Detroit automakers last year, plans to travel to Michigan ahead of the state's February 27th presidential primary election. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.